Hi guys, welcome back to my Steps to Sobriety, my show on YouTube and as a podcast with me, your host, Stefan Neff. Today, I've got another guest on my show who I was looking very much forward to talking to, because Wynne Charles is a woman who doesn't take no for an answer. She was born with a condition that didn't give her many advantages, but that did not change her. On the contrary, she didn't let that define her, but rather actually said, yeah, cool, that's me, but why not write a book about it? Why not succeed in ways that other people rather think, yeah, she can never do that, no way. And here, Wynne Charles dared to prove everyone wrong, and I love it. I love that. So, Wynne, thank you so much for coming onto my show. I'm really, really honored and humbled to have you here.
You are so welcome, Stefan. And for those of you that probably thought Stefan spoke French at this point, yeah, stop Googling the words cerebral palsy, because a lot of people do Google the words cerebral palsy, but I'm going to give you the short version. Cerebral palsy is a lack of oxygen injury at birth. I have ataxia spastic cerebral palsy, one of the most common cerebral palsies out there, and I was very lucky enough to be diagnosed with this gift. I call it my gift. I don't call it my disability anymore, and we'll get to why in a couple of seconds. But I was lucky enough to be diagnosed with this gift in 1987, June 22nd, 1987, to be exact. And so that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
That's right. And it's really good that you say that, because for people out there who have not got disabilities, they look at you and they see the way you walk, they see the way your movements are, and that automatically defines you. That automatically, in their mind, their prejudices are there. Yet cerebral palsy is such a chameleon of a disease. I mean, it's not a disease, a condition, and it comes in so many versions. It affects people in different ways. But there are so many very successful people out there with cerebral palsy. So therefore, it's beautiful to see you being here on my show and demystifying this condition in its own right.
Thank you.
But absolutely. But that, yes, you have got cerebral palsy. So what? Now, for me, the interesting thing is that you are, of course, also a young woman with her dreams, with her bad negative emotions, with the same crappy coping mechanisms like wanting to drown your sorrows with alcohol, etc. And so there you are essentially exactly the same person as anyone else without that condition. So it is the intriguing thing is to talk to you today is how your brain is affected by alcohol, what is your journey in the past with alcohol, and what happened when you chose to say goodbye to alcohol.
Okay, here we go, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. I first had my first glass of wine at age 16, which is not legal drinking age here.
When I come from Germany, we start earlier there, okay?
Yeah, so. Mind you, it's not legal drinking age here. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I was given my first glass of wine is because my mother my biological mom grew up in the Bahamas. And so her family was in the Bahamas. I lost her in 2010. And then I lost my dad only in 2019. So back to 16-year-old Wynn, who didn't know anything better of it. I was sitting around the dining room table, and my family, who is all island, all Bahamian, all loves to have a rum and coke, loves to do the drinks, loves to do the cocktail hour, you name it, and it's, yeah.
Any excuse.
Any excuse. Island, living, the Bahamas, yeah, any excuse. And so I got my first taste of wine at age 16. And the quote that came out of my mouth at age 16, me knowing that this wasn't good for me, was CP and wine. CP is not my friend, aka I was hungover. And so I just, and the next day, I remember saying to my grandmother and her nurse, would you please quit screaming at me? Because me with one glass of wine, I thought everyone was screaming at me. Unbeknownst to me, when I said cerebral palsy is not my friend, little me, skinny little me at age 16, and yes, I haven't gained an ounce, didn't realize them, what I called screaming, wasn't screaming. It was alcohol going to my head and me being hungover. And I will never forget that. And so then I get over that experience. And so then comes the death of my mom. And this was in 2010. I am still on alcohol. I was drinking like a fish every single night, 1 to 2 glasses of wine. Still hadn't gained an ounce of body weight, mind you. And then I would use alcohol as a coping mechanism of grief. And my dad was sober to the 10th degree. He cut it cold turkey. And yeah, he cut it cold turkey. And so then my dad dies. He dies on May 19th, but he gets diagnosed with cancer on Thursday, May 14th. And Thursday, Wednesday, May 12th, he gets diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. And my stepsister, my stepmom and stepsister are both down there with me. My stepsister goes, when your dad has lung cancer And I say, okay, my dad had lung cancer. I knew that the whole entire time. Mind you, I just didn't want to open my big fat mouth and say, my dad has lung cancer. Let's do something about it, please. I was waiting for the official diagnosis. And then the next thing she does is she goes, well, do you want a glass of wine? And so, and funny enough, the night before that, I signed for their case, mind you, of wine. I'm on the phone. I hear a knock at the hotel door. No one's around me, and I have to get up and sign for a case of wine. And I'm like, oh boy, here we go. And so I say yes to the glass of wine. I go about my merry way. We're still grieving because I know he's not coming home, my dad. And so we're still dealing with the now, okay, what are we going to do with Win? We're raising a disabled adult here. What are we going to do with Win? Family is outside of the country in the Bahamas. The only family I have still to this day is my stepmom and stepsister. And then I'm thinking, oh, okay, this is great. I am alcoholic. So then I get emotionally and physically abused on June 23rd, 2019. And my abuser takes me out to dinner. I have the glass of wine. I come home after all this happens, and actually, I don't even walk in my house. I'm standing in my garage talking to my aunt, saying goodbye. She has now pulled up in my driveway. My aide, who was living with me at the time, is in this house. She had just witnessed emotional and physical abuse, which was a whole another story in itself. And I have a epiphany with God. He goes, in my God goes, if you give up the alcohol, I will put you on a mission that you won't believe. I just need you to give up the alcohol. And so I said, okay. Because you got to remember, my aunt, who she is a heavy drinker, and she's a heavy drug user, let's just put it that way. She's a heavy drug user plus alcohol user as well. And so I'm standing in my garage on June 23rd, and God gives me a mission. He goes, number one, you got to give up the alcohol. Turns out my aide is Mormon, who's living with me, and she doesn't want anything to do with the alcohol. And so I said to her, you know what? I'm cutting it cold turkey. You know what? I'm cutting it cold turkey. You better believe that put the biggest smile on her face. She didn't have to deal with one person who was an alcoholic. She had to deal with my with she had to deal with another person, my stepmom still, and we still have wine in this house, and my stepmom still tempts me with wine to this day. And I say, no, thank you. No, thank you. You know, and you know what goes on. And my aide literally asked me one day, she goes, since they don't believe in drinking for their religion. And she literally asked me one day, well, how does it feel being drunk? And I said, it feels like you have a big giant headache. And I don't want to wake up feeling like that. I want to wake up feeling like a productive person. I don't want to wake up like a big giant headache. And so
that's how you wake up, though. But what does the alcohol give you? Because obviously for years it has numbed the pain. For years it did something for which you were quite happy to pay the dollars to get a case of wine.
It numbs the grief. Thank you very much. It numbs the grief. Thank you very much. The grief of my mom. It didn't numb the grief of my dad because I knew he was sober. And I knew that, so my sobriety date was actually, even though it didn't start till July, my sobriety date when I decided to give up alcohol with help, my sobriety date was the night of June 23rd, 2019.
Beautiful. Wow, what a journey. And you're quite right. I mean, it just shows that alcohol is just such a false friend. It gives you that momentary relief, but then it hits you like a ton of bricks soon thereafter. And you must say that or I, as a doctor, want to add that cerebral palsy, your brain has had a severe knock, so to speak. You basically had a brain injury, very much like a head injury at the time of your birth.
Yeah,
and so
brain injury. To then add alcohol on top of it, I don't think so.
Yeah, well, that's right. And that's but many patients do that. Or may I say patients? I shouldn't say so. Many people with disabilities do enjoy a glass of wine because they've got the same frustrations, they've got the same negative feelings, the same negative emotions, and they equally have not learned to deal with these emotions. On the contrary, they have not just the normal negative emotions that any teenager, for example, has, but no, they have got the being socially ostracized, being all those cliches that are out there as far as people with disabilities are concerned. And so it's a double whammy. So it's not surprising that people then fall into the trap of self-medicating. And that might be alcohol. In your case, I'm surprised that you did not say anything about marijuana, because marijuana is often relieving spasms, and it's often something that people in the with cerebral palsies are using.
My dad did marijuana for so many years, and I even told him that if my CP were ever to get bad enough, I would do THC and hemp. I would not do marijuana. That's a whole nother rabbit hole that I won't go down, because I will do THC, I will do hemp, but I won't do marijuana.
So for those of you, Yeah, sorry. For those of you who don't know the differences, when you smoke marijuana, you've got a whole cocktail of drugs that are coming into your system,
Yes.
as with every smoke. As far as the drugs in marijuana, or the compounds, the active ingredients of marijuana, there are a number of them. Some of them can make you feel the way you do feel, more relaxed, more disinhibited, more happy, etc., all that, for which people use it recreationally. Other compounds within marijuana or within similar plants do not give you the high or the change in your brain, but it actually has positive effects on pain, positive effects on spasms. So it changes the way that some people who are quite incapacitated with neurological diseases, they have a joint and suddenly, their muscles relax, their spasms suddenly get much more controlled. They can have a glass of water without pouring it over themselves. So it is,
Yes.
absolutely. So it is one of these things. So you have to say that there are a lot of good reasons why people do enjoy a joint. Unfortunately, it's the very double-edged sword of altering your brain and making
if my CP were to get bad enough that I couldn't control it, I would definitely do THC and hemp, but no marijuana for me because it's too much. I just got my sobriety date. I do not want to go back down that.
So true. So true.
Do not want to go back down that.
What about other people with cerebral palsy? I assume you with you being a motivational speaker, going out there and showing that you lived a life to the fullest. Other people come up to you, and what is the scene amongst people with cerebral palsy, people that you meet? Do many of them do use medications, drugs?
I have a girlfriend that does not. She's been my BFF for 20 plus years too. So she doesn't use it. I know that I also have a friend that is paralyzed that uses THC and hemp, and I believe he uses marijuana, but it all depends on what the body wants, and it all depends on what the body needs. I was on one of the heavy medications meant for cerebral palsy, and it made me feel like the walking zombie, which is baclofen.
Yeah.
Baclofen is a muscle relaxer, and no way, no how I got that. So if my CP were ever to get bad enough, I would use hemp and THC.
No, I hear you. I very much hear you. Interesting. How has your life changed once you stopped drinking?
Well, I am here with my glass of water, and I am
coffee.
I gave the coffee up too.
So, all right, good on you.
This is my liver feels a heck of a lot better than it did, and my brain feels if you can eliminate the alcohol from your liver enzymes, that's even better because my liver is now functioning semi-normally. I don't have, and I know this is TMI, but I don't, because alcohol has a problem with people going to the bathroom. I don't have to go to the bathroom as often as I now. Granted, if I do drink glass of water, but because of what alcohol does to your body, I'm finding that my body is receiving receptacles a heck of a lot better than it was when I was on alcohol. And so I will never, ever, 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 ever go back to alcohol.
And again, from a medical point of view, it makes perfect sense what you're actually saying, because the liver is the biggest organ in your tummy. So it's there in the right upper side of your tummy, and 1.5 kilogram of pure gold. Because what it does, it gets rid of all the toxins and gets rid of all the rubbish. Now, whilst it is such a beautiful, powerful organ, at the same token, it can be overwhelmed, and regular alcohol is pretty good way of doing that. And also, when you drink, you don't really pay attention to what you eat. So you have got the malnutrition on the one hand, because you eat shit, you eat takeaways and whatever, and you have got the effect of the alcohol. Therefore, the toxins don't get rid of, or they are not getting metabolized so well. So now you not only have the impact of the alcohol on the brain, but you've also got a lack of nutrients, the vitamin B complex, etc. So that makes the brain worse. Plus the malnutrition and the breakdown products, all the rubbish that floats around that the liver normally gets rid of, they are a little bit higher. So that affects the brain. And your brain is already challenged by birth. So here you are. You've got a triple whammy hitting you there when you drink. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So no, you're absolutely right. Is that?
No wonder why I don't like sugar as much as I used to, because although peanut butter cups are my weakness, and I admit that publicly, and I don't even know that. And chocolate cookies are my weakness, oils are my weakness, and so I like the sugar when I can have it, but I try and stay away from the sugar. But no wonder why I was a sugar hound, so to speak, because my brain wasn't thinking bad. It was only thinking, where is the wine glass? Where is,
I give you the solution for your craving. There is actually, there are protein powders around, which come in peanut and chocolate flavor. And so actually 2 scoops of that's 50 grams of protein, which your body needs, and add that to some porridge, which is sort of the fiber and the slow release carbs, etc. And suddenly you have got a match made in heaven. It is quite sweet. You don't, and without actually any much sugar in there. It's actually just perfect.
I have to try that now.
Yeah, that might be your excuse.
Now. That may be my excuse. No, but I think when it comes down to it, for those of you with a disability who like the glasses of wine or the glasses of beer, you may want to take a look at my story and just take a page out of my songbook, especially if you have cerebral palsy, because cerebral palsy is a lack of oxygen injury at birth. So yes, I have a traumatic brain injury, and alcohol on top of it, I don't think so.
And yet it is so typical that, because so many people with chronic injuries or the effects of injuries do have the PTSD, do have the problems on an emotional level, and then self-medicate. So you've got the brain injuries that come later in life, like the compound football injuries, or indeed a nasty motor vehicle accident, all these kind of things. And then there you go nuts with your alcohol on top. Same effects. So no, it's brilliant. So you wrote a book, I Win, and that is your story about beating the odds. And tell us, when did you write this book?
That is one of 11 books. Thank you very much.
Oh, wow.
And
I didn't realize.
One of 11 books. Thank you very much. And I wrote this book when I was not sober. Thank you very much. I wrote this book when I lost my mom. And I wrote this book as a form of taking the pain away. If I was smart enough and didn't have my aunts looking at me, because at the time I was trying to keep up with the Joneses, and if I didn't have my aunts looking at me, who turned around and abused me 10 years later, 1 month after my dad died. And so if I didn't have them looking at me, if I wasn't trying to get away from emotional and physical abuse 10 years ago, I would have been sober a lot quicker than I actually decided to become. Because, because it wasn't good.
No, so true. So true. And I think, it is reality. We all go through some dark times. And regardless of how you were born, regardless what skin color you have, regardless what social strata or background you come from, we all go through crap, and sometimes heaps of it. And it is irrespective of disability or not, you need to learn how to cope with that. And alcohol is at best a stopgap and a false friend, and at worst it can actually kill you and ruin you and ruin your life. So I think that's fair to say, and the same applies to drugs. So it is so important to try to regroup, to press the pause button, and to try to actually look at what is really, really important for you. What are you destined to be on this earth for? What is your mission? What is your vision? Who do you want to become when you grow up? And for you, that clearly changed, hasn't it?
It was interesting because when God handed me the epiphany in my garage, he also handed me my next mission, staring at the ocean, thank you very much, in Orlando, Florida. And he goes, okay, you've done my mission. I give you your mission back. And you have to be a motivational speaker for those who are getting physically abused and emotionally abused.
Oh, okay.
And that weekend, I'm like, oh boy. And then he solidified it in a church. Thank you very much. And I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Here we go. Thank you very much, God. And then it was so funny because I didn't even tell people that I was around this weekend that I was going through awakening with God. They didn't even know. And they didn't even know I had this awakening starting on June 23rd, and it got pushed till October, and then October of 2019. And then they didn't even know. And then when the person who I was traveling with and I were trying to get back here to Aspen, Colorado, Uber driver at 6 a.m. asked both of us what we did for work. And I'm like, what do I tell this Uber driver? I know he's trying to make conversation with both me and a person I was traveling with. And do I tell him I'm a retired educator, or do I tell him that I'm a soon-to-be motivational speaker? Well, yeah, but here's the kicker. It wasn't I'm a soon-to-be motivational speaker. It was I am a motivational speaker. It just didn't come out of my mouth. It came out of the person I was traveling with mouth, that she said, I am a personal assistant. I am a personal assistant. I was a personal assistant to Win, and Win, she is a motivational speaker raising awareness for cerebral palsy. I'm like, okay, that is just okay. That is just really.
There you go. There you go. Now it's out in the world. Sorry, you can't put it back. Once it is said, it's said.
It's said. I'm like, okay, I can't take it back now.
That's right.
Thank you very much.
But then, okay, I mean, right now COVID is putting a bit of a spanner in the works. But I mean, you're talking to schools, you're talking to places. I guess that's where the internet, where Zoom is so powerful.
Not really. COVID for me is not putting a spanner in the works, although it is putting a spanner in the works because I'm a social butterfly and I like travel. And so it's just putting a spanner in the works that way. But because I'm so used to this Zoom and YouTube thing, and it's not really putting a spanner in the works.
Good. So, and that's nice because you can still influence people. You can still give hope and show that life is so worth living. So it is full of challenges, but that in its own right can be your purpose, can be your mission, your sense in life. So it's wonderful. I mean, how do people find you? What is your website? Do you have a website?
askwin.webelieve.com, or they can just Google Ask Win, and my podcast should pop up in every single podcast player, including the Amazon smart speakers. And if you guys know how to subscribe to my Steps to Sobriety, Stefan's podcast, you pretty much know how to subscribe to Ask Win too.
No, that's beautiful.
I want to make this clear to you guys. Two things. One, my stepmother and my stepsister and my aunt who lived with me at the time didn't emotionally and physically abuse me. They did not. They did a wonderful job witnessing it, and they were put the way the universe set it up was I got emotionally abused. I had 3 witnesses. So if you guys are in that situation, get out of that situation. Don't use alcohol as your friend, because I used alcohol that night and I got an epiphany in my own garage, standing there talking to my aunt. And then I went on my journey to sobriety. And so, but my other PSA is please please leave a 5-star review or any review for my Sober Steps to Sobriety, Stefan's podcast, because it helps Stefan out. It helps me out, as it helps Aswin out, because what Apple Podcast does is it may put you a new and noteworthy. I say it may because humans pick new and noteworthy, but at least it will get the algorithms noticing my Sober Steps to Sobriety and noticing Aswin. So you guys can find me at askwin.weebelieve.com, and then we can chat from there. I'm all over social media. Beautiful. I am all over. I'm under Win Kelly, Kelly, Charles, Charles, and I'm happy to talk about anything and everything. I'm open book, literally and figuratively. Beautiful. People laugh at me when I say that I'm open book, literally and figuratively. I have 11 books out there. I can talk about anything and everything.
Which is beautiful. And guys, look down there into the description of the YouTube video and of the podcast. Indeed, you get it all there. So you just need to click on it.
And by the way, you guys hit the like and subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. And I can also be found on YouTube in 2 places. One, I host a weekly TV show all about empowerment of men and women, particularly women. It's called Winning with Win on IMTV, IMBTV, and we are international recognized YouTube channel based out of India and the US. And so please subscribe to IMTV, and you just have to type in my name on YouTube, Win, W-I-N, Kelly, Kelly, Charles, and my YouTube stuff will pop up. And Ask Win is on Ask Win TV is also on YouTube. And for those of you that want YouTube videos on Ask Win, you're more than welcome to it. And I'm always looking for guests. The intake form is on my website. Again, it's askwin.weebelieve.com. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe to my Sober Steps to Sobriety.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming onto my show. When it was humbling and an honor to talk to you. Thank you so much for the work you're doing out there, for being this beacon of light, for being the mouthpiece to whoever is out there. You say it is God who speaks for you. That's right. I do not know. And it doesn't matter. It is, you're doing a wonderful, wonderful thing to make this world a little bit of a better place. And that is, yeah, that's right. That is all we can do, isn't it? Hey, Win, thank you so much. I really, really, really do appreciate having you on board. And you guys out there, look after yourself and make this world a little bit better. Look around what you can do. And just that one little thing, maybe to say hello to a friend who we haven't spoken for a while and things like that. You have no idea what ripple effect that could mean. You're a little bit of making contact, making that human connection might mean the world to someone who is in a really dark place. And we all end up there sooner or later, and we need to see that beacon of light. So everyone out there, look after yourself. And again, Win, thank you so much for being on my show.
Thank you, Stefan.
Bye.
Dream on, dream